This morning I'm headed to Texas City Christian Church to talk about eagerness. You see, in Paul's letter to the Corinthians, part 2, Paul begins chapter 8 by talking about a ministry that had begun over a year ago. Over a year ago, Paul began going around to churches asking to take a collection for Jerusalem. And so now Paul is going back to these churches, asking them to continue to engage in this good work. And then he gives an example of what he means by that. Paul tells the story of these little churches in Macedonia. And he writes that these little churches are experiencing severe affliction, extreme poverty, and yet they have an abundance of joy. And so Paul goes on to write that these little churches in Macedonia actually approached him with an eagerness to give. You see, what we learn is that over a year ago, when Paul went around to talk to churches about taking up this collection, he did not ask the little churches in Macedonia. Now we might say, well, he didn't ask them because there's so much going on and this would just burden them even more. And yet, Paul didn't invite them. Paul didn't include them. Paul didn't give them the opportunity to participate in this good work. And so Paul writes that these little churches begged him earnestly for the opportunity to participate in this greater ministry, this good work that all of the other churches were called to do. And so Paul lifts up these little churches in Macedonia as the example that he wants this more abundant, more affluent church in Corinth to follow. And so it made me wonder, well, what is eagerness? Paul lifts up these little churches in Macedonia not to tell the Corinthian church, well, this is the amount you should give, or you need to continue giving in the way that they are doing it, except for he does say to them, I want that same heartfelt sense of eagerness. So there was an eagerness that he felt from these little Macedonian churches. And so I began to ask myself and began to be curious about eagerness. Now, eagerness can be thought of as the cultivating a growth mindset, that we don't know everything and we're continuing to be open to learning, open to experimenting in new ideas and hearing new perspectives. Eagerness is thought of as curiosity. Eagerness is thought of being proactive and really putting one step in front of the other to continue to do that good work with a positive mindset. And so for me, I thought about eagerness, and it made me remember what one of my spiritual teachers spoke about just a couple of weeks ago. She encouraged all of us to approach our spiritual practice, our meditation practice, with a sincere heart. Now for me, sincerity is maybe a more subtle version of eagerness. Eagerness feels anticipatory and excitement, whereas the sincerity has a deeper, more subtle, more soft connotation. And so I began thinking about my meditation practice. Every morning I sit down on my cushion, and I'll be honest with you, there are a lot of mornings that I plop down on that cushion and I think, okay, let's just get it done. I got to do this. I got about 30 minutes and then I have other things to do. And I began thinking about what what it would mean for me to be eager to sit down. And really, I think this is a mind shift. Instead of me thinking, I have to do this, or I need to get this done, it's shifting my mind to approach my cushion with, I get to do this good work. I get to participate in meditation. Eagerness is also shifting the story from when we have new experiences or new projects and thinking about all the things that could go wrong, which I confess, I'm one of those people. And instead, shifting our mind to be curious about, I wonder what is the best thing that could come from this. So my friends, with where we're at in the world today and whatever you might be feeling about Christianity or communities of faith, there is a good work to be done. There's a good work to continue to be a part of. And so may we cultivate that sense of eagerness, that mind shift that says, I get to be a part of this good work. And may we find all the joy that we need. Have a great day, my friends.